Testing, testing. Can I actually be heard on the stream? Testing, testing. Can I actually be heard on the stream? I can. Great. So last time we made these lovely dice, and this as well, I guess. Very good, very cool, very demure. I think you'd roll the number you want pretty much every time. These are the luckiest dice on Earth. Oh, look at that. Satisfying. Anyway, I do think this time we might be able to do just a little bit better. We might be able to just make, like, slightly smaller dice. Like, they might not be quite as, like, rustic, but I think maybe we can probably get there, huh? This time, the resin hasn't been mixed as long. Wow, what a good start. Let's try doing that a bit better, huh? Anyway, we're trying to make a galaxy dice, by which we want the resin to be at a honey, but not able to pick up with your goddamn hands stage. If it's burning you, it's probably about to be a little bit too thick. This is being mixed for about 20 minutes this time instead of close to 40. So we should have enough time to actually make the dice. Wowee, guys! Anyway, I'm gonna start with that and try to ignore the massive failure from before. Okay, so the first things first is I'm gonna want to have, I'm trying to remember, it's like 3 or 4 colors. So basically I want to have like half of the resin I've mixed in here still in here for the base color. And then I want to mix this, pour this into 3 kind of like just equal sizes. I'm just trying to do this by eye, because I don't know what equal sizes are really going to be. We can always pour it back into the original. This is all being mixed and everything, so it's not going to cure weird. Like, you saw some of that resin fall onto the mold, and that's not even going to matter. It's all good. Oh, you saw some fall in my pants, too, if you're observant. Isn't that nice? So something like that. I feel like I've given too much resin out to the little cups. Give me one sec. I have no idea. What I'm going to do is, because I actually thought I had more resin than that, I'm going to also pour this resin into a cup, and then I'll know for sure whether I have too much, too little, etc., etc. Whoop-de-doo. Oh, actually, that might actually be good. I have a little bit less than I'd like. Let's maybe fill it up a little bit more, just a little drizzle from each, right? But I think that ratio is good enough. I also need to go grab some pipettes in a sec, so bear with me. I'm a little less organized than I would have been if the previous stream had actually worked. So let's just get going. Alright, so the basic idea is we're going to have kind of a darker purple here as the main color, which I guess there's no need to explain. I can just do this as I go. Just need to make sure I have enough resin in each of the other ones before I do that, because once I make that purple, there's no going back. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this kind of dark purple, just some cheap-ass Fanzarachi alcohol ink. Hope it actually is alcohol ink, otherwise that's why some of my dice haven't been mixing correctly. And we're just going to make that, you know, fairly dark. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll just see how dark that makes it. For once I actually am using a transparent cup, so it's a little easier than normal to see how dark the color really is. Usually I'm using a white thing where it makes everything look darker than it really is, but this time I should actually have a good idea of what color we have. That's looking pretty good to me overall. A little blue, but a lot of purples do start off looking blue, and then get more kind of like color tone over time. Having said that, I don't actually know what this does look like on a thing. So what you can do usually is just like put some on a piece of paper or something, and you can kind of see what color it's gonna be. This one might end up being pretty blue by the looks of it actually. But you can see kind of the purple undertone there. That's the more likely color to show up, so we'll just have to see how that turns out. But it's fine. All I really wanted was a dark color in the blue range. It didn't really have to specifically be purple, so that's not a big deal. So we're going to mix that, and because this is our main color, we're also going to grab a little bit of glitter here, which I don't have a measuring tool for, and I usually would. So we're going to use one of the sticks we haven't put in resin yet, because it won't matter if we cross-contaminate. And we're just going to put like a decent chunk of glitter in there, because we're going to want that to be kind of like a nebulous type thing. The other ones actually won't have glitter for once, even though I usually like putting glitter in everything. But that one specifically needs the glitter. So we'll just mix that one up until the glitter is evenly distributed. From where you're sitting, I'm not sure if you'll see it glitter or not, but, you know, I will, and this video is for me. But if you can see it, you see how it makes like, yeah, see how it makes like those like swirls and galaxies there? That'll come through in the final dice. There'll be like swirls of glitter that just give the whole thing a bit more of a galaxy space feel than it would have otherwise. And the reason you do this is also so that the dark color to contrast with the other colors. One problem, as you may have seen with the fireball dice I made the other day, like with red and orange for instance, is colors that are too close to each other, you may not actually see the difference in. Where this, you're definitely going to see the difference between this and the other colors we make, which are going to be a blue, which wasn't the best one to start with when I'm saying you'll see the difference, but bear with me. So this is Pinata Alcohol Ink, which is one I like quite a lot. And you just go 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe. I don't think I want to do more than 4 on pretty much any of these, because there's not a lot of resin necessarily in each of these cups. Like, I might even be overdoing it as it is. But again, you see how the color's a little bit off from what you might expect. That looks a little green. In reality, this is quite a nice sapphire blue when it actually sets up, so just gotta trust me on that one. And I'm sure, you know, my big chunky dice from before give you a lot of reason to trust me, right? Right? But yeah, you can see it's very vibrant, right? That's what we really care about, the vibrancy of it. One of the things about these other ones, which I'm not going to bother pulling on camera, is they're not actually quite as vibrant as the Pinata inks. I really need to get more specifically Pinata inks. They just hold the color way better. Like, I can see the blue through each individual drop there, and you know, I can kind of see the purple in each drop here, but not nearly as well. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go for is a nice pink. This again is Pinata. I'm hoping there actually is some pink in this. This one is very well used by me in a lot of testing. So hopefully there's pink actually in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go for 6 on that. I just know from experience the pink isn't quite as strong as the others. And if we get a strong pink, I'm actually pretty happy with having a strong pink. So not a big deal if we go overboard compared to the other colors where I would care quite a bit. This has not gotten even nearly pink enough. I'm going to put a lot more pink in there. 1 second. I think some of that actually got absorbed by the wooden stick. The pink, for some reason, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The pink, for some reason, does have a tendency to get absorbed by the stirring stick itself, which isn't super useful for getting the color in the resin, as you may expect. Like, to you, this probably looks quite pink, but I'm on a pink board. Well, actually, that's reasonably pink. I was hoping for something a little bit brighter than this, I will say. But that's okay, as long as it has the tone of pink. But I am going to put a lot more pink in. Can you tell why I'm running out of pink? God only knows. It's a mystery to us all. Anyway, that should be yeah. Now you can see, like, that's definitely pink now. Even on, you know, my side, it's pink. You probably think it's looked pink this whole time, but that's a bit of a trick of the camera. It has not been pink this whole time. I promise you. So yeah, that's an indeterminate amount of pink, which hopefully will look pink when it's actually in the dice. But I don't have the time to really do this 50,000 times, so we're just going to move on, because we're trying to race that same honey stage we had before. It shouldn't be quite as hard as last time to race it, but we'll be racing it nonetheless. So good to just kind of get these out of the way as quickly as we can. Wow. Anyway, the next thing is we're using something that might seem similar to the pink to you, but it's called a Senorita Margarita, or magenta, actually. Margaritas would be nice to have right now, but all I've got's magenta. It's 5 p.m. somewhere. So we're gonna go again, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 5 is too much, probably. That's actually quite strong. And now what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna grab this white Blanco Blanco, which I usually use to weigh things down. But in this case, we're just going to try to make this a little bit more opaque than the other ones. Just a drop or two will be enough. We're going to start with 1 drop, and then we're going to see how that looks until we put another drop in. And the reason for that is it's good to have something that's a little bit more opaque to kind of contrast against that black original kind of color we made. So we want something that's going to kind of just stand out a bit. And yes, I know to you these colors probably look just about the same, but they're not. They're not, I hope. From, like, experience, they're generally not, but they look very similar to me right now. We're going to put 1 or 2 more drops of this in, not too much, but enough to just really make sure that it's a, distinguished color from the rest. We're just mixing. And yeah, you can see how that's kind of a pastier, whiter kind of thing. Like, even on camera, I imagine you can at least see the difference between the pink. They look the same on camera. Don't worry, they look the same in real life too. These might be pinker dice than I thought. But, pink and blue dice are nice as well. We'll see. I do think this will work. Don't have all the time in the world to try to, like, truly make it different. I'll put 1 piece of orange in it. 1 drop. Just to make sure it has some distinction, even though that is a horrendous mistake to do. Okay? Just to prove that the color will be different, right? Put a bit of a warmer tone in there. Yeah, now it looks like trash. That'll be great. It's okay. And then we're gonna put some more margarita in there, because I definitely liked that color I just made. Yeah. There's no reason I'd want to put more margarita back in. Alright, you know what, that's fine. That actually looks fine. We've got this nice kind of pink, we've got this kind of more vibrant. Now even you can see the difference. I think the orange was a good idea. We have the purple, and we have the blue. So now I need to go get a bunch of pipettes, because I forgot to get those, because I was rushing from making those blocks last time. And then we can get started on the first color, and then making these things to put in real quick. And then hopefully everything's done within about 10 minutes, because that's when we get back to that stage from before. It won't be as hard as last time. Before it was in this big cup the entire time. Because I've separated it into smaller cups now, it will take longer to actually engage a thermal runaway. What happens when you have a bigger cup like that is, because it's all together, the stuff that heats up heats the other stuff up and causes a chain reaction of thermal runaway. You probably saw smoke in the previous video, and if you didn't, I can tell you that I did. And that's from when it's heating up faster than it can actually manage. Once you put into smaller cups, there's not as much heat to generate heat on heat on heat, and you don't get that chain reaction. So even if you spend about the same amount of time making stuff, it's not going to have the same kind of risk of that happening again. Having said that, to further prevent the risk of thermal runaway, I am going to start filling the pipettes up now. So some of the resin is pre-separated from the rest, and we're going to have to be using the resin anyway. So, this makes sense just as a bit of extra precaution there. I don't think I'll need to put in the purple, because the purple is going to immediately go onto the dice. In fact, I didn't need to fill this one with purple. That's silly. Let's see if we can't reuse this in the pink, because that will make more sense. Okay, so brain. I definitely remember what I'm doing. Sorry, bear with me for 1 sec. I'm just trying to remember what I'm actually doing. Alexa, stop timer.
30-minute timer cancelled.
Yeah, huh? And then Alexa, set a 20-minute timer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to pour the purple first, and we're going to do that right now. That is the biggest one, it's the biggest concern, it's the biggest risk of rehashing what happened on the previous 7-minute quick stream. So let's get that running right now so it has the least chance to heat up possible, okay? And you want to be filling these like halfway, a third, something like that. We're probably going to end up overfilling these molds in general, because they always do. But if we can try to get the amount just about right, then you're less likely to end up having the colors bleed later by mistake, which is a problem I have more regularly than I should. It's probably the type of resin I have, but the resin I have is also so good. But yeah, we're just going to fill up all these molds at the same time, about a third of the way. We can always add more later or something like that. If we need to. Sorry, I'm having to look at my actual OBS camera to pour these ones. They're a bit out of my eyesight, which I'm sure is very safe. Okay, this one needs like literally like 3 drops. Like these things fill up fast. Like that's already too much. There you go. That one's too full as well. Yeah, hopefully this time we have timed it correctly. Because the idea is you need to get it a little thick before you start mixing these colors, or you'll just literally get mixed colors, and that's not what I want. I want to be basically using these pipettes to push the color up from beneath to ensure that the colors kind of are a bit distinct. And if they're just poured while they're thin, like realistically, you're just gonna get colors that are very similar to each other, and you don't want that. You want stuff that looks unique and different and changes and shifts, especially when you're making something like galaxy dice. Like there is a little bit of stuff in here that'll make them look good regardless, but as a preference, I would like them to not mix too hard. I just realized I'm gonna have to move some of this stuff in a minute. That's okay, that's not my concern just at the minute. For now, I just want to get this ready to go, because it is basically ready to pour now. I did wait like 20-30 minutes before starting the stream, or whatever the timing, but different. Basically, whatever the time was between the 2 streams that just happened is the amount of time that I waited. So you can tell me how long I waited, I guess. There we go. Getting that. So that's the first pour. All good. I'm gonna find a place where I can kind of chuck this so I can put a couple of the mold faces down in a way that's stable. Because the other thing you really want to do, yeah, now that I'm not using these colors, I can kind of push them down the aisle here. Oh, Alexa, set a 20-minute timer.
20 minutes.
That's bad, I haven't been timing myself. But you do want to pour some onto the mold faces to avoid, voids where you can. I'm gonna not pour too much on here for the second, because it's probably not on a level surface. But yeah, generally you just cover that whole thing. I do have a bit of a rim on this, which makes it a bit easier to do. Usually I'm a bit worried about doing that too early in case I get resin everywhere, but I think because I've made a lip on these dice molds, that's actually going to work in my favor. That's a new thing I've been doing to try to make the process just a little bit messy overall. And don't be afraid to just use your stick to like cover bits that you need to with it. This is here basically to break any surface tension on the top of the mold and make sure that when you actually close them, they close correctly and don't get big bubbles from vacuum places, stuff like that. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want enough there for it to work. Alright, moving on, we're going to start with the pink, move to the blue, and then move to the kind of wider pink. And we're going to want to add, no we aren't actually. We're going to quickly, and I do mean quickly, try to chuck one of these in each of these. These are just iridescent foil. Literally just any cellophane I think is technically iridescent foil as long as there's not a color in it. And these are going to be placed in there to give it a very interesting sparkle at the end. These really help with the kind of galaxy look and feel of dice like these, and they definitely didn't just get covered in resin, making this much more difficult. Also, I tend to forget which ones I've put in, so hopefully I can keep track of it this time by trying to having a bit of a process. I want to do this relatively quickly because I forgot that I had to do this step, so it is not on my bucket list of things I need to do before the resin hardens. This one's a bit of a race against time because I am making 4 sets of dice at once, which is more than people would probably recommend you try to make at once. But yeah, basically just crunch these up. You can crunch these up in advance, by the way. Oftentimes I do just have a container of these pre-crunched, but I just didn't have them ready for today, because I wasn't completely sure what I was going to make today until I started the previous stream, realistically. So yeah, this will take a minute, hopefully not too many minutes, and hopefully they don't uncrumple too much, because they can sometimes cause voids in themselves as well. This is kind of why it's good to put them in after you put the first bit of resin in as well, and why it's good not to put there's the temptation to put 50 million of these in when you make them, and I have fallen into that temptation many times, and it usually just means you've got a bubble in the top of your dice at the end if you do it that way. So, you know, be demure, be ready, and just remember to, I don't know, do a thing. My brain's not working, I need to work fast. I may go a little silent now, because I do think I'm going a little slower than I should be, and that's because I'm talking. But, you know, if you're around, say hi, and I'll say hi back. I think I'm gonna just start actually putting stuff in, just to make sure that I don't end up over schedule here. You tell that one's gonna be a pain in the ass, can't you? Hopefully that one's fine. I don't know if I'll have time to fix them while I'm also streaming, unfortunately. But what I'm trying to do is basically just shift this side to side so that you get different patterns. It doesn't matter, honestly, too much if you get a bubble or two in it, because this is getting pressure putted afterwards, and that usually just deals with stuff like that on its own, so don't get too concerned if you're introducing bubbles. I know a lot of people do get very concerned over that, and I don't usually find that it's too necessary to care. But then I'm the guy that accidentally made a bunch of circles earlier today, so, you know, don't trust what I say. The main bubbles I would be worried about are the ones that are introduced by the mylar or cellophane or whatever you want to call it that I put in. Those are the ones that you really want to kind of keep track of if you can. Okay, things are hardening. I may have to give up on the Mylar in the other 2 sets of dice in order to have enough time to do this, because I can see it's thickening, and I would like to actually have finished dice by the end of this, more than I would like to have Mylar dice. Might even pour some of it for these ones, to be honest. There we go. That's just gonna help me make sure that I actually have enough time to finish. So, finishing the pink in these ones. I believe I was up to the pink. Oh yeah, it's getting quite thick now. This has to be done quite quickly. I'm even gonna just... Alright, I'm only panicking a lot. Alright, these are mostly good, thankfully enough. Now, I do really need this one piece of Mylar to go down. Like, I'm gonna accidentally end up mixing the dice, but it's better than having a hole in the dice at the end. Necessary evil there, really. This piece of Mylar, realistically, is just too big. Oh gosh, that's not really gonna work no matter what, is it? I'm just gonna pour some pink on there as well. There you go. You're always meant to be a pink dice, right? And we're going to do these ones a little bit less demurely, because I actually do need it to speed up a bit. Once I've poured it, I can have a little bit more time to do the finishing details, but yeah, I didn't leave myself necessarily the best amount of time with these, by the looks of things. Yeah, I do think I'll have enough time, thankfully. It's really hard to time stuff like this, it really is. Like, the amount of time you have from, hey, it's perfect, to, uh-oh, everything's ruined, is actually very close. Alright, we're gonna pour a little bit of pink just on the top of these, I think. There we go. They should be about as good as they're gonna be at this point, which isn't quite what I had in mind necessarily, but I think it'll still be pretty good. Just gonna put some of this purple on the top. Not that you can really see it, but should be good. Alright. I'm gonna really quickly run and get my thingy. I'm gonna hope I didn't accidentally mix any of the colors. That would be the big tragedy in this. Not if I'd waited too long, but if I'd mixed the colors. Where's the 10 on this? Come on. Come on, pour. We don't have all the time in the world. There we go. And I did mark which way was which, but I didn't mark it well enough, unfortunately. Is it this way? I think it's this way, right? Yeah. Right. I'm just gonna push that. You should realistically see a bunch of resin coming out the sides. I think I might have pushed down a little too hard, so we're just gonna hope that I didn't accidentally cause a vacuum. I did hear a noise that sounded a bit like a vacuum, but the last thing you ever want to do, unfortunately, is try to check if you've done that, because you will definitely make a vacuum when you check. So we're gonna chuck that on my little thingy down here, which you can't see. And we're gonna move on to the secondary dice set, which we're going to want to pour whatever resin we have left over onto. Doesn't matter which one it is, we just need something surface there. Blue is fine. You'll note today, unlike with the baked beans, I'm not using my hands, because you actually should be using safety equipment and gloves and all that stuff. I just don't have enough to be using every time I make dice. There we go. So then again, you just chuck it on, and you try not to push down with pressure too hard when you put these on. You've probably seen me do pressure, but really, you just want to let it slide on. Like, you give it a bit of a little like help, but what you should really only be doing is jiggling that around and not pushing down. When you push down, you start to cause problems with suction and pressure. Like, if it pulls up and there's a little bit of air in there, you've now permanently created an air bubble, which is something you don't necessarily want. So that one's done. On the thing it goes. I wonder if I have enough time to do Mylar. Now that I have some of them kind of set, I do have a bit more leniency with my time. The main thing here was whether I'd have time to get the resin on the top like this, and also whether it would like turn into a solid chunk like in the previous stream before I managed it. Now that it's kind of there, there's a possibility I have some time to try to chuck some Mylar into the other dice styles. It's not going to be a lot of time still, but, you know, the main kind of hurdle is over now, so there probably is some time. Where's that other thing? Do I have any more? It doesn't matter what color it is, again, just that there is a color. This one's quite thick. This is what I wish I could do it at when I was mixing colors, but the amount of time it's like that is almost nothing. Like, I guess you could technically keep them in here like this, like I'm doing right now, and then you'd always have enough time, and that is a technique I want to try seeing if it would work later. Like if I just, instead of keeping it in cups, kept it in like 50 pipettes, right? Would I have all the time in the world to like make colors like this where they're definitely not going to mix together now, right? Because that's why you want it to be a honey. When they're thin, they're very likely to merge and meld, and when they're thick, they're more likely to remain distinct colors. If I were to just mix this resin and then immediately just add all the colors together, like it just wouldn't have worked. Alright, is this going to be too time consuming? It might be. I think that is going to be too difficult to do this time around, unfortunately, and I'm losing resin for it, and I don't have any resin left to lose. So we're going to have to forego putting Mylar in these additional sets, which is my own fault. I should have prepped it. That's okay. Okay, so this one goes on in this orientation. I said it goes on in this orientation. Holy shit, why aren't you going on? There you go. And just again, let it find its place. You have every reason in the world to feel like you should be pushing down, but you don't. You just want to kind of let it shimmy. It'll fall into place. Now, when the resin's thicker, it is a little harder, so you can push down a little bit if you want to be real with it. But, like, do be very careful about doing that. And again, you want that falling down the edges. That's why everything I have here has a lip around it, to avoid that being an issue. But yeah. We are on the final one. I'm not going to even try to put the Mylar in. I'm just going to do it. Hopefully we get an effect like this in the dice themselves. That's kind of what we're going for, that kind of separation of colors there that you see. You know, if I've got time to show you. If you can see here how there's a bunch of like different colors and swirls, we're hoping that those colors and swirls remain there in the final product. I don't have a heat gun on me. One sec. Hey, get out of there, Bubbles. Get out of there. We don't need you. There you go. But yeah, you can see how pouring this now would be basically impossible. This is a great time to get the colors to not mix together. But it's very hard to get the resin into this state and not have it immediately crash out like it did in the previous stream. It is possible, and it's partially because of the style of resin I'm using. You know, that obviously has some effect on it. But it is something you just want to remember when making dice. You want to try to learn your resin, right? Alexa, stop timer.
20 minutes.
There you go. You want to kind of learn your resin so that you know what that kind of time is that you have to work with. Like, I've used this resin a few times, and realistically, I should know better. I should know that I had like 30 minutes overall when I was waiting 40 minutes. But I thought I would just be a little bit quicker than I was. So hopefully these dice turn out. Otherwise, I've wasted a lot of resin on a single set of dice, huh? Well, single batch of dice, I guess. But yeah, again, see, there's stuff on the sides. You'll always have leakage. You want that leakage. If anything, this is less than I usually have. Alright, that's where I'll end the stream for today, just because I can't be bothered moving the phone over to the pressure pot, and I don't need footage of that. So, hope you guys have a lovely time. I may actually come back and play RimWorld later. I need something to relax after wasting a bunch of resin. RimWorld could be fun. Bye-bye.